Okay, good afternoon, ladies. Today is Monday, February the 10th. We're here at the Public Library, and we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order for the Laredo Commission for Women. Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
You know, they're connecting, is somebody gonna be present?
No, virtual, no. We don't have
Virtual, no.
Okay.
I can do it.
We're gonna ask Angie to please do roll call.
No, but no one's attending.
No one's
Oh,
virtual.
I see what you're saying.
yeah.
I thought
Nobody-
managing the presentation.
No, nobody's doing virtual
No?
today.
Oh, okay.
Well, nobody said they were, right?
No,
No.
Maria Zambudio?
She's absent, yeah.
Guadalupe Ramirez?
Yeah.
Gabriela Morales Richards?
Here.
Mary Lou Ibarra?
Absent.
Frida Figueroa?
Here.
Silvia Palombo?
Here.
Leticia Guajardo Martinez?
She's absent.
Esther Firova?
She's absent.
Diana Rodriguez?
Present.
Laura Yanes?
Absent.
Yes.
Sandra Cavazos Ayala?
Present.
Julia Rubio?
Here.
Rosa Maria de Llano?
Oh, Julia's okay. Yeah.
Julia, okay.
What did I say?
Julia, no?
Oh,
It's okay. You can use Spanish.
English or
Julia.
Spanish?
Julia.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
still
Julia.
understood.
And Rosa Maria de Llano?
It sounds.
I didn't hear, did you hear?
No, I didn't hear from her.
Yeah, and she was in the group chat as well, and she didn't respond.
Who?
So, Rosa Maria. So I don't know.
Qué raro.
Qué raro.
She always responds.
We have a form.
Okay.
Very well.
Thank you very much, Angie. Okay, let's read the minutes, please, for January 13, 2025. And then, we need to get an approval. First and a
I
second.
so move.
Okay,
second
I
it.
have a first by Sylvia Palombo to approve the minutes, and second by Lupita. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, those
Aye.
against? Okay, thank you. The minutes have been approved. Any public comments? None, nobody's here. But,
Can I introduce my, oh no, the public comment.
yeah, let's do it now. Let's introduce our guests.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I brought my two guests today, and Juanita Martinez is my guest, and Irma del Barrio is my guest.
Thank you so much, and you all joined us last, in December as well, so we want to thank you so much for your support with that. Okay, and with that said, I'm introducing my guest as well, Rosina Silva. She also thank you so much. It's a, you know, we appreciate it. It is time out of your busy schedule. We're all here also, you know, to address what we need to address as our responsibility for the Laredo Commission for Women, and we appreciate you all being here.
Thank you for the invite. Thank you, ladies.
And so now with that, we go to item number 6, communication and announcement. And so we have announcements that we have a presentation by our guest speaker, which is also one of our members. And shortly, she's gonna tell us about herself and then start the presentation. But before that, let me just also announce that Frida has been working very diligently. It's not an agenda item, but I'm just announcing that Frida has been working very diligently with the committee for the conference. And we do have a flyer already, which Angie's gonna print for us in a little bit. And attached to the agenda is the registration form. That's just to be used for those that don't like to use the QR code or have a hard time with technology and, you know, can't do it. There's also this registration form that can be submitted, and then Frida will add it to the list of people that have registered. And so also before you leave, Angie will be printing the actual flyer with all the information so we can start passing it out. She's gonna send it to you also as an attachment in an email as well, so that you can also forward it to other people. We would like to have more than 100 people there if possible.
Can we make copies of this
Yes,
one?
you can,
And then
absolutely.
have my friends fill it out and
Yes.
then
Yes.
bring it back to you?
Yes.
Yes.
And this one, Frida, will there be like any corrections like on the time and the date and the place?
And it's a free conference.
Yeah, it's free.
Because it doesn't say.
Falcon?
No, 'cause that's
it's
just
gonna
the
be
That's just the form.
So it's just gonna be attached
Attached to the flyer.
Down there, their main office. in the-
Yeah, the flyer, they're gonna
Just
get
having
the
it for
flyer
the
with all
badges.
the information, and so when they do the QR code, it automatically takes them to this, and they don't need the information since they already have it on the flyer. But since we wanna go the extra mile, for those people that don't wanna do technology QR codes,
Yeah.
we said we'll have a form for them, because there's some of us that rather have that hard paper or that hard copy in front of me. And so that's why we asked Frida to help us with that, and she did. The flyer is very nice as well. And we can look at that before we leave, and that way we
And
can
it's
start.
on, the date?
It's on March 29th.
Oh, perfect.
It's a Saturday, March 29th, and it's going to be at the Falcon Bank, yes. Falcon Bank, 3rd floor. And it's at 8 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's an all-day thing.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a light breakfast, healthy breakfast, and a light, healthy lunch as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, you'll see the flyer in a few minutes.
Thank you.
So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and move forward, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce our speaker, one of our own. She's gonna speak to us on financial literacy. Thank you, Debbie.
Thanks.
Oh, and before we leave, let's take a picture. I think, before we
Mess our lipstick.
Okay. We'll take a group picture and a little bit before we leave.
Sure. Alright, so good evening. My name is Gabriela Morales. Today I'm going to talk about financial literacy. Just a little bit about myself. I attended Alexander High School not so long ago. And
Last year.
I started my career with the city of Laredo. And back then, there were fewer resources, so we needed to do a lot of economic development and a lot of business development for the city. So, as a foundation of my career, I got to promote the city of Laredo outside of the municipality, so that was a great honor and privilege I had. One of the most memorable trips for me was when I needed to travel to Washington, D.C., representing the city. And I remember landing, and I saw, the Washington Monument and, the National Mall and all of these wonderful things. And I said to myself, could I live here? Would it be possible for me to live here? And I tried my absolute best. So sure enough, I applied to Georgetown University.
Wow.
And got accepted at Georgetown University. I transferred my LC credits and my TAMIU credits, and I put it all together, and I scrambled around, and I said, I'm qualified, believe me, I am. So yeah, got accepted and got my bachelor's from Georgetown University. And then graduation day, my parents was like, okay, are you coming back anytime soon? And I said, no, I have a job. So I stayed with the U.S. Department of Commerce, working for them over a decade. I stayed in D.C. for 15 years. I had a wonderful experience.
Wow.
And and then pandemic came around, right? Everybody was a little bit distressed as to how far away is our families, and I started rethinking my life, right? And the fact that I was so far away. So right after pandemic, came back home. I have my own business. It's consultancy businesses. I do economic development plans for municipalities. I do business development and strategies for businesses. I do business formation, LLCs, S Corps, C Corps. And I love the fact that I have my own flexibility. So that's wonderful. Right now, it has worked so far. My greatest accomplishment, though, is this one right here.
Oh,
So when I talk about all of my successes, you know, they don't matter. This one right here, it's my most wonderful success. I love the fact that he thrives. I love the fact that he enjoys life. I love the fact that he likes reading. He's a top AR in his school. They also got the basketball championship, and trust me, having a 10-year-old boy with no devices is not easy. But somehow I'm doing it. And yeah, his name is Josh.
Precious.
That's a little bit about
Absolutely
myself.
precious.
Thank you. So why financial literacy? Who read that article in the Laredo Morning Times saying that Laredo is the #1 city for collections nationwide? Did you guys read it? Yeah. Were you perplexed? Yeah, I was. Because that is not a good indicator for the #1 inland port. If we are the gateway to the Americas, we also need to be on par with, you know, how we manage our money, the education that we have for the community. Nationwide, the median household income, it's 80,000. Here in Laredo, it's 63,000.
Wow.
So that's shocking. Why? Because the educational levels are not the way they're supposed to be, the income levels are not, and also the collection activity, it's above what it's the norm nationwide. So that's pretty perplexing. I think that stakeholders and women in the community, and powerful women in the community, we all should be advocating for financial literacy. And what does that mean? It doesn't mean that, you know, we come here and we hear from Gabby for 1 hour and then we go back home. It means that we always have it in our heads to not just pass on the message to our children and grandchildren, I know Lupitados, but also the entire community, right? Our social circles, our networks, you know, to find out if they have the right tools, the education, and if not, route them to the appropriate organizations where they can get the information. I do teach a financial literacy class. It lasts a whole semester. I'm a volunteer, and I teach it right here on the 2nd floor. So the class, it's a full semester worth of information. It's every Friday in the mornings, and sometimes my students, you know, they're tired. They're like, oh my God, you know, we did our homework and we're just tired, and that's fine. But sometimes we also share best practices and success stories that we didn't know anything about, and I learned with them as well. So that's wonderful about teaching this financial literacy class. Some of the main topics that get the most inquiries are up on that slide. So the #1, and I think the core of the module, is the values of the family and how people around you make an impact and an influence on you, not just as a consumer, but also as the way you manage money. So I asked the students, what's your #1 value? Like, for you, what it's the most precious thing you got? Some of them, obviously, you know, family, and for their families to be protected, and for their families to have a home to go to, right? Some of them might say, oh, it's a vehicle. It's a vehicle that can take me to places, and maybe you can travel around the state, driving around with no problems, that, you know, the vehicle is just gonna give up on us. So the most reflective class from the entire semester is the #1. What's the most important value for you? Because it cannot be 5 different things. Because your money, your time, your effort is gonna go into this one single one. So that's why they start thinking, you know, what's the most important value for our family? And it's different for everyone.
And I guess it's different, Gabby, as the age, ¿verdad? 'Cause
That's right. So for a newlywed couple, it's not gonna be the same as for grandparents
Yeah.
or people who are retired. So it's always changing. That's right. It's always changing. Another class that gets a lot of questions and attention is the financial products, services, and providers. So for this one, I touch on the differences between a regular financial institution and a credit union, right? And what's the difference between being a member and being a customer, right? And what's the difference between having a free checking account that sometimes is not free because it has some sort of strings attached, right? And just having a savings account. So we go deep dive into these kind of differences. And sometimes, you know, the free checking account might say, okay, it's gonna be free, but you need to have at least
A certain
one monthly deposit. Or you need to have at least, I don't know, $2,500 in the bank at all times. Or, so it's that fine print that we definitely need to check into so that we become better consumers and so that we learn how to manage our money properly. The other class that, you know, it's always a little bit of commotion, it's the income and expenses. They tell me, ma'am, I don't make enough money. I just don't.
But you spend more than you make.
So it's living
What they earn.
beyond your means. That's what it is. If you make $10 the hour, you adjust the budget so that you spend the money that you have, so that you don't overspend. It's not that you need to be making all of this money, right? It's that you adjust the budget so that you work with one amount only and you don't go over that. But yeah, it's usually no, I don't make a lot of money. No, there's no way. So I teach the class, you know, how to work around the money that you have.
Gabby, I have a question.
Yeah.
Is this class associated with Tammy U or Elsie?
No, it's with the Literacy Volunteers of Laredo. Yeah.
And can anyone, I mean,
And
can
what
anyone
credit
sign up
do
for a
Anyone
volunteer?
can sign up.
Oh, yeah, I wish I had taken it 40 years
It's
ago.
targeted for newcomers. For
The newcomers to Laredo.
To the radio?
yeah.
¿Por qué no más los newcomers?
No, it's for everybody. But the thing is,
That's how it's.
they asked me to give the class in Spanish.
Oh, really?
So I downloaded all of the modules from the fdic.gov website. And it has the whole thing in English and Spanish and many other languages, like Chinese, like all of the languages, right?
Wow.
So the Literacy Volunteers of Laredo asked me to give it in Spanish because there's many students that do the ESL, and being new to this country, they may not know how to navigate, you know, the IRS, the financial credit reports, like all of these things. Now, what's awesome is that there was one dad who used to come to the class, right, every Friday, and then one day he brought the mom, different generation, and then the following class he brought the high school student, and I'm like, I'm loving it, keep bringing them. So
wonderful.
yeah, to your point, and I told the Literacy Volunteers of Laredo, hey, let's broadcast it, right, because if Laredo continues to be the #1 place where collections happen, it's because we don't have the education, the empowerment, the financial tools to know how to manage the money that we have accordingly. But yeah, it's open to everybody. It's free. You actually get, out of the modules that I put together, you actually get 2 booklets and you take them home with you.
That's awesome.
And you have all of the information there. The class is very robust, to be honest. It's 2 hours every Friday, and sometimes they're like, "Oh, we're tired, we don't want to do it." I'm like, "Come on, let's do it. Let's make it fun. We need this." But yeah, I'm trying to crunch kind of like the main topics into this presentation. But if anyone is interested to take it or would like to refer someone who needs it,
Just
you
show
know,
up.
yeah.
Friday mornings?
Right now, they couldn't secure the library to have it this semester. So I've been talking to them and working with them so that we can have it in the fall semester. Summer is way too short to squeeze in 14 modules into one semester. So we have to do it either spring semester or fall. but I talked to them, they didn't have the room available.
And they don't have one in the other library or anything else, or no? But this is centrally located.
Yeah,
It's better.
and the bus stop helps too. Yeah,
Because the bus stop's right there.
yeah, there's some ladies that used to come together, and they used to take the bus, and I saw, no.
That's
awesome.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
as a first generation like American, this is like my parents don't know anything about like the IRS.
Right.
Let me tell you, and you're right. This generation is really overspending what they cannot afford or trying to buy. You know, and I'm not gonna say names or anything, but the other day I got a message and my neighbor was saying, "Did you hear all the commotion last night?" And I said, "No, when I go to sleep, I go to sleep." She said,
No,
at
just-
1 o'clock in the morning, they were towing away
Aw.
the Mercedes from our neighbor from across.
Oh.
It broke my heart.
Why?
The vehicle, because they don't pay me. They
Yes, no, por eso digo, but why buy a Mercedes when you
well,
can buy a...
that's what
They didn't take
well, that's my point. That is my point, Lupita.
Yes,
That
but
people,
they're dumb.
Right.
that people, well, no, not that they're dumb. They don't have,
No,
they don't know better.
They
You
should
know
know
what?
better.
They
Plan.
think they can afford it.
Do you? Yes. So I remember being in high school, graduating from high school, getting all these credit cards, and I'm like, woohoo! I have the ability
Yeah,
to
you
charge
know
all of this
better.
and go travel to Europe. That's
And then you
awesome.
get the
And I did
bills.
it.
And how do you?
And I did it, and I got in so much debt because, and that's the reason I teach this class too, right? Because I made all of those mistakes, like all of them, right? I was young. They didn't teach me anything about financial literacy in high school. Like Frida, you know, first generation, we come here, we have no idea. We get a, credit card in. Oh yeah, sure, sign me up. And sure enough, I was 20 something. I traveled throughout Europe. And I'm like, no, I'll pay it later. Sure, I'll get a good job sometime. And little did I know that the APR was eating up all of my payments, right?
Yeah.
So when I
They didn't know any better.
Right. When I give the class, I tell them, listen, there's no judgment because I've gone through it all. And while now for me it's like, oh come on, it's common sense, dude. See,
Yeah.
for some people, especially young generation, especially those that are just coming into the
I have
country,
to stop you, but what is APR?
the annual
interest.
percentage
The
rate,
interest charge on your card.
APR. So
And Kathy, I want to interject.
Right.
The state of Texas, being a former educator, the state of Texas noticed that the children, nobody is financially literate.
Right.
So by state law, we have to offer a financial literacy course in every single high school. Offer it. Does it mean that kids sign up for it?
No.
No,
Because
but
it's an elective.
that's a clincher. It should be required, not
Right.
not a option. And then when you're in high school, you want your grades, your GPA, you wanted to do this and that. It's offered.
Yeah.
So we are going by what TEA is saying, but we are not taking advantage of it.
Right.
This is amazing, and I wish everybody should take this.
I know. And if you
Yes.
know about any organization that's willing to do like a crash course, I'm willing to volunteer my time because it's really that pressing for our
Yeah.
community.
It
And
is.
I am very concerned. And the day that I read that article in the Laredo Morning Times, I talked to Sandra and I'm like, we have to do something about this. This is not okay.
And you know what, Gabby, what hurts me also, and no offense to you, Angie, but I think that the library as part of the city, because this library is owned by the city and us as taxpayers, we should make that room available. It's Friday morning, come on.
Yeah.
Well, and the other
What's
thing,
going on Friday morning that they have that?
And it's an early class too.
Yeah, no,
So
but it's up
So
there.
it's not like
It's
a
up there,
meeting
not
to-
down
Right.
there.
but you know what, it's all, I know this happened to me in college. When you're in college, you're there to learn and have a good time. And what do major credit card companies do? They come on campus, they
Yes.
give you a mug and they offer you a credit card. No job, no job.
And they don't talk about the rate and the percentage that's gonna cost you to pay
Exactly.
back that money, because as a college student, you're gonna get a 27%. You have no credit history, you have nothing on your favor, you have
But
no
you have a
assets.
credit card, they give you a credit card.
And I did it, right? So I
I
know
did
what it's
too. I
like
did it too.
to grab a plastic card and be like, oh my God, we're traveling to Europe, girls, who's in? And they're like, we are, right? So, I mean, it's fun, but then I came back and it took me 5 years to pay it down. And I'm like, oh my God, when is this thing gonna be over?
It's like, for example, then going back to when I was a student, you go and open a checking account, and this is a joke on the side. There was this grandfather that had gone, oh, I'm gonna go to the bank and open a checking account. He opened it with $100. So of course, they give you the checks, and the checks have 25 checks in each checking. And so he started doing checks and checks and checks, and then he says, so he got this letter from the bank, well, you owe this. No, but I said that it was wonderful. I opened my checking account and they gave me all this checks. So he wanted to finish all the checks and he kept on making it's like a credit card. You don't pay it off the first month without interest. I mean, you're in debt. And that's what I try to teach my nieces and my nephews. Hey, good, you have a credit card, establish credit, but pay it off within the month. And spend only what you are able to pay.
Right.
Not overspend like, I want a car, I want a house, I want this, and there's no way, because, I mean, the interest rate is, of course, it's gonna eat you up.
Right.
But, I mean, it's a funny joke about the grandfather that went, I have a lot of money, and like you said,
Yeah.
oh, credit card, I'm gonna go to Europe.
So that one we cover in the borrowing basics.
Uh-huh.
And I make sure that the students know that
What it
every
entails.
time that they borrow, it's going to charge interest. So I tell them, have you heard of payday loans? And everyone's like, yeah. I'm like, don't do them. Stay away from them. How do I know this thing? Because I went through it. I used to run to the payday loan place. They knew me there. Miss Morales, how are you? Yes, they want your business, obviously, because those are, the financial literacy killers.
Yeah.
So we cover the borrowing basics, yeah.
Yeah.
And managing debt goes hand in hand with credit cards, obviously. One of the most exciting classes is the saving plan. So what I tell the students is savings is a behavior and it's a lifestyle. It's almost like when they force you into a diet that you are not gonna do and then you fail. So savings is not something you do. Savings, you have to adopt it as a behavior and a lifestyle. And it has to become part of who you are. So one of the students gave me a very good example as to how is it that they learn how to save. So what they do, they have 6 different households. And each one of them has a piggy bank at the entrance of the home. So, the parents, the children, whoever's there, they drop in a coin, a dollar bill, whatever it is, throughout the year. So at the end of the year, the piggy bank that has the least amount of money throws the carne asada for New Year's.
Wow.
So there's 6 different households, and they break it in front of everybody, right? And they count the money. Oh, you had the least amount of money? You pay for the dinner.
For not learning how to save.
For not learning. So what I like about the piggy bank, if saving is not part of what you do on a regular basis, is that it's a visual and you have it in a place where you can see it. If your children, grandchildren see you putting in $1, a quarter, and hey, it's a family endeavor, it's a lifestyle that all of us are contributing to, then guess what? They're gonna start doing it automatically. Yeah. Yeah. And especially if you have an incentive of, we cannot lose. You even make it more fun and competitive, right? So the savings plan class gets very interactive and a lot of commotion because it's making sure that everybody understands that saving is a lifestyle. And it's hard, it's very, very hard to have a budget and say, oh, let me grab $20 and put it into a savings account. If you is not within your DNA, it's gonna be hard. So we take baby steps. I make sure that I tell them, listen, it's just like forcing yourself into a diet that you know you're not gonna do. Right, like all water and celery, that's not gonna happen. So same thing here.
And
We
it's-
start with baby steps.
Gabby, it's also like, for example, teachers, we have a lot of educators here. We get paid by month. So what we used to do, okay, let's go to the credit union, teachers credit union. Okay, and they say, okay, back in the days when I started some 45 years ago, my salary was $9,000 per year. Okay, I would bring home $675 per month.
Yeah.
So I would actually, I said, there was times that, okay,
And
because I'm just gonna buy a blouse and not the pants because I couldn't afford it. So I would tell my friends, okay, let's save, So I would put $25, but you need to put those $25 in program your mind to say, okay, I don't have those $25.
Right.
And don't
Because
touch
Cannot
it.
be part of the budget.
What happened was that, and I understand because my friends had a family, had kids going to college and stuff. The middle of the month, what would they do? They would go and get the $25. They, you have to make it a point that you don't make believe you don't have that money.
Right.
Because otherwise, when are you gonna save?
Right.
So within that, I programmed, like you said, you have to program yourself to actually say, okay, so with that money, I would travel throughout the year, but I would do a share loan where I would actually pay less interest, and within a year I would pay my loan, and I've traveled throughout Hong Kong, Europe, you name it, I've been there. So I would do it with my own money, with less interest, because it was a credit loan, self-credit loan within my own money,
Right.
and the money's there. And that's what I try to teach my nephews and my nieces, and no les entra, no les entra.
And those kind of savings accounts, not everybody knows about it, right? Like I present, in the class I present the, CDs, the difference between
A ladder.
the IRA, the difference between, there's so many saving mechanisms that we don't know anything about. And some people may not know that if you have it in a CD, it's gonna accrue interest for you, and that your money is gonna be working for you, and you don't have to be doing
And not for
anything.
the bank.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that's, something that people may not know. And the difference between, a savings account and a checking account, and the difference between, hey, you're gonna save up for retirement, and this is a 401k, you don't touch it right now.
And it stays there.
Right. And if you, for whatever reason, if you get to touch it, guess what?
You pay for it. You have to pay the penalty.
Exactly. So those are the type of things that, people may not know about.
Also, like in the one that you were saying that something you save $25 and then later you go out and you get. I'm a saver. I save a percentage every day. Okay.
That's awesome.
But that's it. So I always go by percentages because sometimes you can save $5, sometimes you can save $100. So I always save a percentage of whatever income was for that day.
Yes, and then you keep
And
adding.
then, so when people ask me, because a lot of people come and ask me how I do it, but a lot of people come and ask me and I tell them, don't say, well, I'm gonna save $25 all the time, because maybe you might not, so say something that you know you're not gonna go and need it. Because save $5, so in percentage, save 2% or 3%, save a percentage and, and
Something that will not impact, like if I save it, I'm not gonna pay my light bill. Like,
right,
gotta be something
yes, something that you can
Yeah.
afford, yes, and if you do that over the next 50 or 60 years,
Multiply.
you're gonna have,
And then of course, back in the days when you would get a raise, then I would increase it to 50, and then at the end I was saving 500, and you keep going. But it's like you mentioned, sometimes if it's $5, good.
But if the next month or in 2 years from now, I said, okay, instead of doing $50, I'm gonna do 100. And you keep going and adding, and that way the CDs start with the,
Right.
with the ladder going
Right.
up. I'm sorry, Kim.
No, you're good. I love it because we also get to learn from each other, right? And it's the interaction that we take with us more than anything else.
Gabby, and back to your point, how can and we all know what we're saying, you know what you're doing, you know, we understand it. How can we take it to people that don't? And as part of the city, and there I go back to the thing, to my point earlier,
Yeah.
we need to work with the city so the
Yeah.
city can also help us promote
There has
it.
to be
That's
that.
right.
So
And
it's
I
gotta be
also
a way.
think that if you're gonna, we do need to educate, but not shame.
Exactly.
And not,
Right,
you know,
exactly.
we come from a good place, not that, well, you've been doing it wrong, so.
Right.
Right.
So I start my class telling the students, I teach the class because all of that has happened to me.
Because I
So
lived it.
there's no judgment, you know,
Yeah.
and everything has happened to me, so nothing scares me at this
Well, you know, and
Right.
it's interesting that, you know, I've been married for 35 years, and back then, and it's funny because now, my friends are 10, 15 years younger than I am, and I'll say, yeah, I have a secret, I just opened a secret bank account, which I shouldn't have. Idiot, because today I was like, $30. I had to go and fix it, but you know, it's like, what do you mean I didn't pay or whatever it was. But they're like, what do you mean you just opened an account? I said, well, back then when we were getting married, you were taught that you both opened one account, what, joint checking account. Yes, in my home.
Yeah, but
we
you
were taught-
manage it.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm not a good manager. My husband. No, I go to Vegas every other month. Remember, I'm not a good manager. But it was that. That was the thing.
mentality.
The mentality. No, you put your money together. Oh my gosh! And nowadays, I see younger people that are so smart. It's like, no, we pay half, or I didn't even know about that. You know, like I don't know the mentality.
Yes.
We have to educate.
So to your point, Sandra, I think that there's also generational issues here at
Yes.
play. A lot of my friends who have teenagers, they're like, well, they're living at home, they pay no bills, they don't pay a cell phone. So what they do, they spend $10, $15 on Starbucks every morning.
Oh my goodness.
And they go to, you know, Tammy, you look
Because
at
anyway,
super
mommy
cool.
will bail me out.
Right, and that is, I think, the huge difference of those who are just a little bit older, not too cool, versus these new generations of Uber Eats, you know,
And
just
they never see cash,
Instacart.
Gabby. Not like us that with
Right.
cash or check. Do they even see cash?
right.
Right?
So the way we start off,
Here's a credit card.
it's first of all within our family and social circles, right? And then to your point, the advocacy of, hey, we need to implement that in the public schools because it's a mandate by the state. And also, if they're nonprofit organizations that are willing to have a class or a crash course, whatever it is, let's put it in. If there's Tammy U, LC, any high school, you know, whatever it is, even a pamphlet, right, that anyone can put together. Hey, let's go ahead and talk to a counselor or whomever. Hey, UISD, LISD, let's stick it in, right? Or let's
Make it
have a
mandatory.
speaker, something like that, so that we continue to push and we turn around that horrible statistic of Laredo being one with collections.
And that's why I'm glad that in our conference, one of the topics is gonna be financial.
Oh,
literacy.
good.
Yeah,
Good.
that's amazing. So other topics such as the housing decisions, you know, what's better to rent or own? Well, it depends on the money that you have. If you have a down payment, if you have, you know, a good APR for the mortgage loan, it all depends. So, but usually for the most part, those are the topics that people start talking about it and start, you know, just asking the right questions. And I just want to briefly show this scenario, Jane Doe, right? So on an annual basis, Jane, she has a total of $55,954.75 of expenses. These are all of her expenses. So I tell the students, every year, look at your budget like this. Your bank, your app, your platform, online platform should have it. And go line item by line item and ask yourself, how can I improve? So if I look at this, 20% services, that's $11,000. What kind of services? Were they
Her nails, her hair. I don't know.
memberships to the gym that maybe
We don't
she
go.
does not go to?
Pedicures,
Was it
manicures.
Netflix?
Oh,
What, like I remember during the pandemic, I acquired all of the memberships. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be stuck forever. Let me download, and you pay a monthly
Netflix.
And you
fee,
don't even know what you're
and
paying.
they're withdrawing this money without you
your
even knowing.
account.
So make a checklist of what kind of services do you pay on a regular basis. Obviously, if it's car insurance and this is I understand, but if it's Netflix and Disney Plus and things
you
that
don't
you
watch
don't
it?
even use anymore, let's check into that. Entertainment, I think she's okay with the 5%. Healthcare 4%, I think it's fine. Lodging, I would also ask her. Miscellaneous, what's that? What's in that line item, right? Restaurants, this one gets tricky because it all depends on the money that you have as an extra. Like after paying bills and after paying all of that, if you have extra money, sure, why not? Indulge yourself. Vehicle services, 9% seems fair. Air travel is very good, only 4%. I don't know how she did it, but maybe she didn't go anywhere or she didn't go anywhere. She drove a lot. And then organization, same thing, right? So 1,850 in what exactly? And auto rental, that's fine. But those are the type of things that, your bank can give you, and it's a screenshot and you have it available. And if for whatever reason your bank doesn't have it, you do it yourself. Like, okay, where did my money go? And where's the drain? If there's a drain, where is the drain, right?
Gabby, and is there like, yeah, okay, ya me voy a morir. But anyway.
Generational wealth.
Is there like a, what is that called, software or something like where you can input, all that money and see where it goes? Because mine, I know where mine goes.
There's
Like,
an app.
it's Las
There's-
Vegas, but like, is there like somewhere where you can input what
There's
you're
a lot of apps that would help you budget. There's free apps. Now, obviously, caveat, they'll going to link up to your bank accounts.
So you could pay for that.
Yeah, I get mine from my own bank account, and I get it for free.
Yeah, then you get it to you.
Every credit card
You can make.
app or company and
Yeah.
most
They'll
banks,
tell you
they should give you the breakdown.
What's
The most
amazing?
difficult thing would be to reconcile, obviously, like the different methods of payment, because it's not all going to be centralized, but they should give you that.
What's amazing for my bank account is that they also squeeze in the income. So yeah, that's pretty neat. It's a city checking account, and we don't have city here. Yeah.
CTI?
And like year end.
What's that?
They should give you,
CTI?
like, a year-end
Citibank?
one.
I've never seen Citibank in Laredo. Is there a Citibank in Laredo? I don't know.
No.
No.
CTI.
I got it when I was in DC, and they automatically give me, my dashboard.
I've
So-
seen the credit cards that are not a bank.
I know it's scary,
Yeah.
but
She's the youngest member.
I know,
Youngest
but the
member.
good thing is that we know where to get the info. FDIC.gov has a wealth of resources, and I can always help you out. Yeah, I can
I
always
think
help you out.
that you should, I don't know, inform us, give us, try to get that task going, that you put it
Yes,
going.
I wanna take
Get
it.
it going, maybe we can work with the library staff to see how we can get you the room, or,
Yeah,
I mean, if not for,
Or with what workforce,
what?
maybe at the
Or
workforce.
somewhere
I
else
recommend
or
they have
something.
It could be any organization.
And
It
about
could be-
how many people
any high
take the class? Like what size of room would you need?
So upstairs, at the most, we had about 20 students.
Okay.
Yeah,
20, 25.
and
It's not bad.
Literacy Volunteers of Laredo, they print out the spirals. And the class is so good that it has a full breakdown of everything for each one of the modules. And they make notes and they grab the spirals and they take them home. And it's so sweet to see them come back with the homework done. I'm like, oh, thank you. They're not ignoring me. They're not on their phones just playing games. No, so it's good. I mean, I'm willing and able to, go to Tammy
And the class is 2 hours.
The class is 2 hours every Friday for a whole semester. But if that doesn't happen, we can also do like a crash course. It's just like main topics. If it's for teenagers or if it's for ESL students or whatever it is, or first generation students, that we definitely need to push this agenda, because having Laredo as the #1 city for collections, it's unacceptable because we're also the #1 inland port.
Exactly.
So that doesn't go hand in hand. We cannot have poor quality of life and then, the best of the best for international trade. It doesn't compute. And then we saw the median income, which is very low for Laredo compared to nationwide. And then we also see poverty levels, education levels, voter turnout. And I don't want to scare anyone, but I'm saying we are all involved in our communities, right? And we have a say-so in our households, with our neighbors, with someone else, and you say, ya pa que, but at the same time, as grandmas or folks who are already past, the 65 threshold, now we have generational wealth to think about. It's not so much, but more of, hey, I have all this knowledge that, I acquired with my experiences. How can I pass that on? And how can I teach about generational wealth? And how my grandkids, can be better off than what I ever was. So that's the point. There's downloadable everything on fdic.gov, everything in every language.
We're the poorest per capita. We've always been the poorest here in Laredo per capita, per income family.
Right.
We are the poorest, and then, we can't live on $7.50 an hour.
No.
I mean, who can live on that amount? Nobody.
No.
Por eso digo, ¿y cómo van a save con ese tan poquito que tienen? They need all that money to put it into. People can't live on that. Even
And
if they're
then-
married with two working at the same time.
Right.
They're
What
still
happens,
hard.
the children would stay with the parents for always and forever, right?
Yeah.
Like the children, they never go
They
out
never-
because they're like,
they
Mom,
can't."
I cannot pay rent.
Yeah.
But then they also have bad habits. So if they go to Starbucks on a daily basis, if they order from Uber Eats on a daily basis, then they'll never leave the house. And I have friends who do it and they're like, ay, pobrecita mi
Well,
muchacha.
I'm very proud of my
Pobrecita.
daughter because I'm that kid, that crazy kid, and my daughter is the smart one. Like, she takes her lunch to school. I'm like, oh, you don't go out or whatever. And she pays everything cash.
I
She has her
usually-
credit and all that, but she didn't learn it from me.
I usually take lunch to work. I've never bought a coffee from Starbucks because it's crazy if I pay $2 or $3 from there. It's cheaper if you do your pot at home.
At home.
Or
Oh,
McDonald's at
I've never got
86
Yes.
cents.
No, but
Oh, and
all of that,
yeah.
I think it's useless to spend money on something that you don't have to.
But that's what you think. Others don't.
Yeah,
You know
but
what I
you're in
mean?
debt.
No, not necessarily. Others, like Julia was saying, the pie. It just depends
The
where you want the
priorities
pie.
are
The
different.
priorities of
Yeah,
the
the
pie.
values,
So it's not dumb. I like that. I'm not a Starbucks girl. Really, if I like that, don't judge me because I like Starbucks. Don't, you know what I mean?
I
We've
think-
got to
Yeah.
see where the pie falls. What is important to me, like Ariela was saying? What is important to me? I want to go to, I'm not a Starbucks, but I want to go and sit
If
with
you
my
can
friends and
afford
enjoy
it,
a
then
nice
go.
coffee.
If you
Julia,
can
You
afford
know,
it.
yes.
I just think that because I can be very frugal to where like my dad is always like, why do you work so hard to make money if you don't spend any of it? And I do spend, but I think the only caveat to that, because I'm like you, I do go to Starbucks, but it's mostly often for like the social utility of getting out of the office because I packed my lunch, and so it's I'm
Right.
gonna go out with a
break.
friend. I'm gonna get the break, so I'll pay the $6 because
Sanity.
because I'm gonna drink coffee anyway. I'll spend less on the coffee than I would have if I had gone to lunch.
Correct.
And then I have like the break of
So you
being a
balance-
coworker or
Yeah.
so I think you can't be I'm like you. I'm exactly like you. I pack my lunch every day, but it's making those decisions conscientiously. It's not just spending just
No,
just
you've
yeah.
got to prioritize. You've got to see what it is. You know,
Yeah.
what is important to you, like you were
Right.
saying.
Yeah, no, and I do spend sometimes when we, with my boys, and they know that if I go, I pay for everybody,
Yes.
you know? But I know, okay, we're gonna go here, y me va a salir
Excellent.
mucho, pero bueno,
Yeah.
just
But
this
you
weekend.
know,
See, but because
It's
it's providing you a
valuable
valuable
It's a valuable
experience.
Yes.
But when my children were like
I
teenagers,
do
they
the
said
same
to
thing.
eso, que me dijeron, Mom, so what if I go? Le dije, okay, well, let's sit down. Your car is so much. The insurance for your car is so much.
That's
And you made me pay your credit card is this much. And I pay for this is this much. So all of this and your food and your food and the cleaning lady, because we have a cleaning lady, she needs to
The
get paid.
laundry detergent.
Yes, no.
This.
Okay.
You
Todo.
like that soap? Sorry.
But I
Yeah.
included, okay, we have our housekeeper, she gets paid to pick up your socks and your underwear. This is how much we pay her, and this is how much we pay. You're gonna be on your own, this is how much you need to make. Y que te sobre.
Yeah, it's good.
¿Ves? So they say, oh man, I need to make a lot of money. They go, well, yeah, because you always like new trucks, you know? So
And
they
they
cost.
know the value of it. I
Yeah.
think when you work.
So
for it.
this
Sí.
is amazing, isn't
Yeah.
it amazing? I want to thank Gabriela.
Yeah.
And we never stop learning.
Right.
Like
Oh,
here we
yes.
are. You know, I'm sure all of us learned a little something.
I'm gonna have nightmares tonight.
You're
Oh,
gonna
but
have to and get married, dear. You're not gonna have to worry
No, ma'am.
married.
No, we
don't
don't. No.
I'm about to get married, and I would love for him to give me his money for me to marry.
Exactly.
Oh, yes, I manage. The minute that I marry, I manage everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it's gonna
But mira,
happen
there
that
was
way,
a
but-
teacher, you know my sister Pia, she's 20 years younger than I, my beautiful little sister Pia. She was like a ditz, and she's very smart, but in something she was an nerd. And I remember one dumb teacher in front of the whole class tells her, "Ay, Pia, marry rich, so you don't have to worry." Of course, my mother went, and he's no longer with us. But you know, like that's crazy.
Yeah,
that
that's
they
mentality.
think
That's
that, you know?
You're doing something that maybe
Yes,
had
it-
not.
Yes.
you
But
know,
I
started
think more
adopting.
than that, it's like marry someone who's gonna be a partner.
Yes.
Not
Responsible.
just in life, but in your
In your
approach to
life,
personal
that's
values
right.
and your approach to rearing
Have two
children.
checking accounts.
You
not
know
just
what,
one.
you were saying that when I got, well, I've been married 34 years, but one thing that I came into was I came in with my own money and it stayed my own money.
I was gonna say,
And I remember because we dabble in properties and he would say, because I would always volunteer at the schools, honey, do you know how much we pay in property taxes? And here you're giving away your time for free. And I said, sweetheart, I pay for my own education.
well, also that
think
property
So-
tax implies that you are a property owner, so you're doing okay.
No, we're doing
Yes.
very well.
Like,
But,
you know.
but the other thing that I wanted, and it is a lifestyle.
Okay.
I have never written a check from my husband's, from the household money for gas, for Dillard's,
That's awesome.
for my hair, nothing. And because, but see, my money would go into my account, but my contribution was that I didn't touch his money so that we could do a lot of other things. So it's like Gabby says, you have to see what works for you. You know, I didn't give up my independence because believe me, money, even when you're married, no, and it gives you confidence that if things don't work out, you know what, I have this.
Which
Or
is
it's
one of the
there.
main
Yeah.
and the government.
The money,
But I think that marriage and the couples If it work, whatever works for you,
Whatever.
works for you. Me, in my marriage, and I've been married over 40 years,
I don't know how.
I manage every single penny, everything. My husband, if, well,
But
now
you're a
he-
good manager.
No, my husband would say like, I think I need like $20, okay, ¿para qué los quieres? I mean, but his credit, but he said,
Yeah,
"Do you- I think I need a new truck, can we afford a truck, or a new
How
truck?"
about you get it through?
Yes, of course, how much do you
Or
need?
text?
Buy, choose it, and then tell me, and then I deal in paying his truck. Cause I'm the one, he's
That's
never
honest.
signed
Try and
a
print it
check
like that, aunque sea
in
en
40
blue.
years since I've been married.
Well,
He's
mas
never
chiquito,
done credit
tan
cards,
chiquito.
everything, cause
But yeah, but the
If
person
I
in charge
learn
has to
that's
be
a lot
like
of
she
stress.
is.
But
They can-
but I know exactly,
But
because
you
a
can
lot of
spend.
people would say, well, do you know how much you're worth? I can tell you to the penny how much we're worth.
Pero Lupita, that's also very
Excuse me.
stressful.
No, no, it's
Yes,
not,
it is.
no, no,
It's
it's
money
not.
for some people, it can be very stressful.
Yes, excuse me, if you don't mind, let's continue this conversation, let me just finish the meeting and then
Oh,
we can.
we're so excited here.
Okay,
We're so-
thank you, because that way she. This is.
Oh, did you record it?
Yeah, we'll
Okay,
record it.
okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, that's why I was.
There's no
It's
names,
okay.
right? No
It's very public. It's okay. So let's go to actions. Item number 7, actions. The
Actions.
scheduling of next meeting, agenda date, place and time. So next meeting is March the 10th, ladies. And it will be a regular meeting to discuss and finalize the conference. We're having a little situation where Frida's trying to send Angie the flyer so she can print it for us, but unfortunately she can't get it, I don't know, they're still trying, so before we leave you can get the flyer. If not, Angie will send it to you all via email tomorrow, okay? And then also, it's the same time and here this place, and I believe that that's it regarding our meeting. Anything else?
I'm out of town March 10th.
You won't be here.
I won't be here.
Okay. All right.
It's my birthday.
Oh.
So I'm traveling.
we have to
Yeah.
celebrate.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
it's
anything
pretty
else?
No,
And
ma'am.
then that way we can continue our discussion, but not
podemos
adjourn.
cerrar
Can we
Meeting
take a
adjourned.
picture?
Oh, yes.
Ah, de veras,
No, but
de veras.
Yes, let me adjourn the meeting, and then that way Angie can turn it off and we take our picture.
Meeting is hereby.
I think the meeting is hereby adjourned. It is 6:37, I'm sorry. Thank you, Debbie.